Hey there, folks. Looks like some of you have been commenting, which is great. I love seeing the comments. I'm surprised to see comments. When I first set this channel up a little over a year ago, it really wasn't with any expectation that anyone would find it and watch these videos. And so it's awesome that you do and you have. So let's get into the questions. Tim LeBeau, I believe that's how his name is pronounced, and James Smith both asked questions about how much rent is. I did 2 videos on 2 places in town, so I'm not sure, I can't remember which video they asked questions for. I'll say this. In Minnesota, we owned a 3-bedroom house, basement, everything like that, and we paid about $1,700 a month on our mortgage. We pay more to rent this place. I don't really want to say how much we rent it for, but it is a decent amount more than what we were paying for a mortgage for the house we owned in Minnesota. Teddy MH asked a question about cost of living. There's no question cost of living is higher here. It's much higher than it was back in Minnesota or Wisconsin. So our energy bill ranges from $250 in the summer to $600 in the dead of winter. We don't pay for heat. Our energy bill includes electricity, water, sewer, and garbage. So the heat, I'm not sure. Our landlord fills the fuel oil tank. So the inefficiency on this house being insulated really gets their pocketbook, not ours. Our internet is $450 a month for unlimited internet, which I absolutely have to have because I work from home and I couldn't put these up here if I didn't. So that just kind of goes to show, and you've seen my grocery video and you've probably seen Emily Rydell's grocery video. Things are ridiculously expensive here in Nome as far as groceries go. So Board and Stuff asked a question about people being on welfare. If most people are on welfare, given the standard of the cost of living here, or are there, like, what is the main employer here that allows people to afford to live here? Yeah, the poverty is an issue here. Alcoholism, poverty, mental health issues, they're all an issue here. I don't know the numbers on people that are on welfare in the state. I really don't know the answer to that question. As far as employers that pay well here in town, there is like state jobs such as Fish and Wildlife, there is the airport, and of course there's the hospital and the healthcare system here, which is probably the #1 employer in the area. So I'm a Canadian Star Soldier, and a couple other people asked questions about the annual income someone would need to live comfortably here. I'll tell you a story about that. I was hanging out with a buddy of mine, and I asked him, whose family member works in the gold industry here, and who he himself did a little helping out now and then. I asked him, does it pay to do gold, right? To run dredge or whatever, right? Is it a good living? Does it give you a good standard of living? And his response was, well, what does that mean? Right? Like, according to whom? So there's different ideas of what is standard of living, like an acceptable standard of living. I can't really answer that. And I'm not telling you my salary. Sorry. Judy asks, and this is one that I've seen covered in other videos about Alaska. Do Alaskans get paid $1,000 a month to live in Alaska? Oh, no way, man. You think there would only be 750,000 people that live in Alaska as a whole? I don't think so. I think you'd have a lot more people if they got paid $1,000 a month to live here. No, people get paid. Full-time residents who've been here longer and been an established resident for more than a year get qualify for a check from the government from their preferred fund dividend, which is essentially money that's been put in a pool from proceeds from the oil and natural resources that have been sold and extracted from the state and then paid to the state. A portion of the profits there have been paid to the state, and then the state uses that to invest, and then that investment then gets paid out to the population. The concept was that the state was going to invest in future generations because there's a finite amount of natural resources, right? So eventually those natural resources aren't going to provide jobs, or they're going to be depleted. And so suddenly there's a lack of money coming in. And so this PFD, or preferred dividend fund, PFD, preferred fund dividend, was a concept to supplement that, right? My dog's barking. She learned how to howl because the huskies across the street howl. Pretty fun. Anyway, the idea was to kind of invest this money with the idea that the resources that are paying for this won't always be there, right? And so this was a way to continue to essentially pay the residents of the state for the extraction of these resources. That said, this year I think the check that Alaskan residents got was $1,200 or something like that, and that's per person, I believe, including minors. Hi, buddy. How you doing, bud? Yeah, hi. Where were we? Preferred fund dividend. Yeah, so anyways, I believe the check that people got this year was, I don't know, $1,200 or $1,300 or something like that. I have heard that back under the Sarah Palin days, that check got up to something like $3,500 per person in your household, including minors, I think. So you could have got a pretty decent chunk if you had a large family. But no, people don't get paid $1,000 a month. They don't get paid to live in Alaska. A user SR space B, asked a question about homelessness in Nome. Is it an issue, and are they allowed to stay in a shelter? Which I had mentioned in another video. Yes, there is a homelessness issue in Nome. There is a day shelter or a shelter. I don't know where people live, right, that are homeless. Somebody today mentioned a place called Nest. I don't necessarily know what it is. There are homeless here. It blows my mind that there are homeless in sub-zero weather like this, but it is a fact up here. Gage Mullet, or Mullet, I'm going to go with Mullet. Kind of sounds like a video game character. He asked, how difficult is it to create a sleep schedule in an area where hours of daylight are constantly changing? I haven't had that much of an issue with it. I think maybe a little bit. Well, that's not true. I lie. It's different. In the summer, people often use melatonin to help them fall asleep. They'll wear masks. They'll use blackout curtains. And then you have to close your curtains earlier in the evening. You can't just leave them open. So like in the winter, you can kind of leave your curtains open in your living room and it gets dark out and you're like, okay, it's time for bed. During the summer, you can't really do that because you'll look up and, oh crap, it's midnight. I need to go to bed. So you kind of gotta want to close your curtains earlier. That took some getting used to. I wore a mask for a little bit, but that just kind of got uncomfortable. We found if we used thumbtacks to tack our blackout curtains to the wall so that like it basically molded them directly to the wall, it blocked out enough light in the bedroom that it was good. Problem is then while it doesn't get hot here in the summer per se, it can get stuffy up there and it can get uncomfortable to sleep. And so without airflow, there you go. And there's no central air in this house. Anyway, so blackout curtains and then melatonin. You'll take some of that sometimes to help you fall asleep. During the winter, the opposite is true. You want to hibernate. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. Well, kind of. Football, you know, if I watch it, I'm a Vikings fan. Which was fine when the games came on at noon in Minnesota, and, you know, it's been light out for 4 hours or 3 hours already by the time the football game starts. Here, it's 9 a.m. when football starts, and it won't get light out for another, I don't know, hour, maybe 2 in the dead of winter. And so it's hard to get up. I find it difficult to wake up on weekends. I got to get up and work during the week, so I get up at 5, 6 o'clock and during the week, and I come downstairs and work from home. And that's difficult because it's dark in my office. So I use a sad light And I have copious lamps in there. Like, I got a lot of light. I just turn all the lights on to try and wake myself up. It's not easy. I will admit that. And it's different. Like, right now, it'll be 9:30 in the morning, and it's still dark out, and it's dark 5 o'clock, and it is almost the last week in November. So that gives you an idea. It takes some getting used to. It takes some lifestyle changes for sure. What else did he ask? Gage also asked, do I ever feel lonely or isolated here? Lonely, no. I have my wife and my dogs. I have friends here. No, I work remote, so I don't really go into an office, but I'm on the phone and on video calls or audio calls with people all the time. From back home, back in Minnesota, or Wisconsin and Chicago and stuff. So no, I'm not lonely here. Isolated? Yeah, kinda. So our only mode of transportation is ATVs, right? We don't have a car or truck or anything like that. We've got an ATV, we borrow an ATV, and we're buying a snow machine for this winter. Or if you're from the lower 48, snowmobile. I miss driving. I miss going to Costco or a real grocery store or just down to the gas station or whatever, right? Like, I miss that kind of driving through city streets thing to some degree. It used to be my Sunday ritual to go, to Costco and then go to the grocery store and then go to the pharmacy and then go to da-da-da. I don't do that here. There's 2 grocery stores. Produce is sometimes stocked, sometimes not. One store is definitely better at keeping their shelves fully stocked than the other. But they're still limited in what they have. And so you kind of got to just go with what's there. And so I miss that kind of variety and that sense of being part of the network. The distribution network. Not that I don't mind the idea of being apart from, it's not really off the grid. I mean, Nome is considered bush living, even though we have internet and everything. It's considered the Alaska bush because it's off the highway system. But I don't know. I miss jumping in the truck and driving to the store, right? Like, it's just I kind of miss that part of life. What else did Gage ask? He asked, have you ever considered moving to southern Alaska or areas like Juneau, Sitka, Ketchikan in the future? Yes, absolutely. I don't know that our initial plan here in Nome was to stay a year. And then she got the opportunity to do a postdoc here as a clinical psychologist. And so we stayed another year. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to continue on after this year. Long term here, go somewhere else. I think that's up in the air. It's based on her employment. We might stay here for a few years yet. We might go somewhere else for a few years. I don't know. We definitely want to stay in Alaska. That's definite. We want to stick around Alaska. And I think we want to kind of go semi-rural. I don't know. It's up to her job. As long as I can get unlimited internet, we can go wherever. I'm cool with it. So yeah, we've thought about it. Ideally, we'd like to go somewhere where we could have a house outside of town somewhere that we can still get internet and whatnot, but have some land on it and be able to maybe hunt on that land and that kind of thing. I think that'd be great. But we'll see. We shall see. Oh, Jesus Christ, I need a nap. Hey, so that was a nice abrupt jump, huh? My hair's a little longer, my beard's different, I'm wearing the same shirt at least, and I'm in a different place. Well, same room, different part of the room. That said, this is part 1 of maybe 2 or 3 videos. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, whatever. If you've made it this far, that's amazing. Congrats. Thank you. It makes a difference as far as what YouTube does. So, thanks again, and keep an eye out for the next video.
totalmente.